behind bars. The guards are accused of sleeping on the job at this federal prison in Manhattan, then falsifying documents to say they checked on Epstein every half hour.
The mystery surrounding Epstein's death has led to the emergence of various conspiracy theories. Did he really kill himself, or was he taken out? Nevertheless, the prison guards on duty that fateful night found themselves in hot water. But now, one of them has decided to open up on what really went down that night. Epstein's prison guard opens up.
The probe into Jeffrey Epstein's death presses on. How and why did the financier die in the Metropolitan Correctional Center, once considered highly secure? The first findings have led the Department of Justice to temporarily remove the prison warden and suspend 2 guards who were supposed to check on Epstein every half hour.
It was a case that shocked the world, the arrest of Jeffrey Epstein, a wealthy financier and convicted sex offender, on charges of sex trafficking of minors. But what followed was an even more shocking turn of events. On August 10, 2019, Epstein was found unresponsive in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York. The medical examiner's office ruled his death a suicide by hanging, but questions immediately arose about how such a high-profile inmate could have died under supervision. Tova Noel and Michael Thomas were entrusted with the responsibility of checking on Epstein every half hour, but instead, court papers allege that they browsed the web and even slept. The negligence of these guards is beyond comprehension. Not only did they neglect their duties, but they also attempted to cover up their failure by signing false certifications. Let's rewind and take a closer look at the events leading up to Epstein's death. It all began on July 23rd, when Epstein was found with a strip of bedsheet around his neck. This incident prompted authorities to place him on suicide watch, a precautionary measure to prevent self-harm. For about 24 hours, Epstein was closely monitored, but then he was transferred to psychological observation for a week. After this period, he was moved to a high-security housing unit, where he was supposed to be checked on every 30 minutes. This is where the story takes a dark turn. The guards were responsible for ensuring his safety and conducting regular checks. However, according to the indictment, they failed to fulfill their duties and falsified jail records to cover up their negligence. Instead of conducting the required checks, Noel and Thomas were caught browsing the internet, moving around the common area, and even appearing to be asleep at their desks for a period of approximately 2 hours. The indictment alleges that during this time, Epstein's life hung in the balance. The guards' negligence meant that no institutional checks were conducted from around 10:30 p.m. on August 9th to 6:30 a.m. on August 10th, the morning Epstein was found unresponsive. These institutional checks, which were supposed to be performed 5 times daily, were one of the most basic and essential aspects of a correctional officer's job. But on that fateful night, they were completely neglected. It was at approximately 6:30 a.m. when the guards made a horrifying discovery. Epstein was found unresponsive with a noose around his neck. An alarm was sounded in the unit, and Noel informed a responding supervisor that Epstein hung himself. The gravity of the situation became apparent, and the truth started to unravel. Noel admitted that they had not completed the 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. rounds. Thomas allegedly told the supervisor, "We messed up," and then said, "I messed up. She's not to blame. We didn't do any rounds." The charges brought against Noel and Thomas were grave. They had a duty to ensure the safety and security of federal inmates in their care at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. Instead, they repeatedly failed to conduct the mandated checks on inmates and went as far as lying on official forms to hide their dereliction. These charges shed light on potential cover-ups and negligence within the correctional system, raising serious concerns about the level of supervision and accountability. Both pleaded not guilty to charges they falsely certified to having conducted inmate counts during Epstein's final hours, and to a conspiracy charge. The Manhattan Correctional Center, where Epstein was held, was supposed to be a secure facility. It housed inmates who were at increased risk from or to other inmates in the general population. But on that night, the guards failed in their duty to ensure Epstein's safety. The arrest of Noel and Thomas was seen as a glimmer of hope for justice. Finally, it seemed like those responsible for Epstein's death would be held accountable. But as we will soon discover, the story took an unexpected turn.
Tova Noel and Michael Thomas, seen in these court sketches, both wearing all black, admitted to falsifying records but will avoid jail time under a new deal with federal prosecutors.
Fast forward to 2021, and a deferred prosecution deal was approved for Noel and Thomas. This deal meant that they would escape a conviction and potential jail sentence if they complied with the terms set by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. The terms of the deal required Noel and Thomas
It's a scorcher here in Melbourne today. It's over 30.
The deal required Noel and Thomas to perform 100 hours of community service, be monitored by pre-trial supervision officials for 6 months, and cooperate with a pending Justice Department probe into Epstein's death. But was this enough? Many were left questioning the fairness and justice of this outcome. Senator Ben Sasser, a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, was vocal in his criticism of the deal. He called it a slap in the face to Epstein's victims and an example of the Justice Department embarrassing itself. Sasser argued that 100 hours of community service was a mere token punishment for guards who were responsible for the safety of a high-profile inmate. Epstein's victims, who have already been let down at every turn, were left feeling betrayed once again. They demanded justice and accountability for the crimes committed against them. The dropped charges against the prison guards only added to their frustration and disbelief. On the other side, the lawyers representing Noel and Thomas expressed gratitude for the deferred prosecution agreement. They argued that it was in the interests of justice to terminate the criminal prosecution and avoid imprisonment and a criminal conviction. But would this resolution satisfy the public's thirst for justice? The dropped charges against the prison guards ignited a firestorm of controversy and raised serious questions about the justice system. The public demanded transparency, accountability, and justice for Epstein's victims. As the investigation into Epstein's death continues, the world waits for answers. The prison guards' negligence was not the only thing that puzzled the world regarding Epstein's death. With the prison being among the most secure in the state, there were bound to be numerous cameras monitoring the inmates' movements. But mysteriously, all the footage disappeared.
Questions surrounding his death are intensifying after important surveillance video was apparently lost.
Amidst all the chaos and controversy surrounding Epstein's death, there was one crucial piece of evidence that could have shed light on the events leading up to Epstein's first suicide attempt: the surveillance video. The footage from the jail's CCTV cameras outside Epstein's cell could have provided valuable insights into what transpired that day. But as it turns out, this crucial evidence was not meant to see the light of day. In a shocking revelation, US prosecutors disclosed that the surveillance video from Epstein's first suicide attempt was destroyed by technical errors. The jail mistakenly saved footage from the wrong cell, resulting in the accidental erasure of the evidence that could have potentially revealed crucial details about Epstein's state of mind and the circumstances surrounding his first suicide attempt. The implications of this erasure were staggering. It raised questions about the transparency and integrity of the investigation into Epstein's death. How could such a critical piece of evidence be mishandled? Was it a genuine mistake or something more sinister at play? These are the questions that demand answers, and the public is left grappling with the unsettling reality that the truth may forever remain obscured. Adding to the intrigue were the malfunctioning cameras in the area surrounding Epstein's cell. These cameras, which should have captured crucial footage of the events leading up to his death, conveniently malfunctioned, leaving a void of visual evidence. This raised questions about whether the malfunction was a mere coincidence or a deliberate attempt to conceal the truth. Numerous conspiracy theories have persisted due to the obvious bizarre incidents that took place that day. One theory that gained traction suggests that Epstein's death was not a suicide, but rather a carefully orchestrated murder. Supporters of this theory point to the irregularities in the surveillance footage, the lack of proper supervision, and the potential motive of powerful figures who stood to be exposed by Epstein's testimony. Another theory suggests that Epstein may have faked his own death, orchestrating an elaborate escape plan to evade justice. Proponents of this theory argue that Epstein's wealth and connections would have provided him with the means to carry out such a scheme.
Remember him? Jeffrey Epstein. Still did not kill himself. He is still alive. My strong suspicion is, yes, just that he is alive and well somewhere.
Sections of the internet maintain that he is still alive, and that drone footage taken on the island can confirm this. So which footage is this, and does it really show Jeffrey Epstein alive?
Picture of Jeffrey Epstein that was found. This is real, folks. This is actually a photograph of him on August 30th. Now, supposedly he died August 10th, but he was there August 30th.
In the weeks after Epstein was pronounced dead, drone footage of his island, Little St. James, was posted on a YouTube page called Rusty Shackleford, which has since been taken down from YouTube. The drone footage extensively covered Epstein's island and gave viewers a glimpse of what the island was like. In one of the videos, there were two men on golf carts, and one of them had grey hair and had a striking resemblance to Epstein. But was it really him? This is not all, as disturbing information regarding Epstein's death surfaced on on the internet just before he was declared deceased. A post on 4chan showed that something sinister may have taken place that morning, contrary to the official narrative. The post detailed anomalies in the prison systems as well as military presence. Not saying anything after this. Please do not try to dox me, but last night after 4:15 count, they took him to medical in a wheelchair front cuffed.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon.
Wheelchair front cuffed, but not one triage nurse said they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he is put in a single-man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in, and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. Read the post. The suspicious circumstances surrounding Epstein's death prompted immediate investigations by the FBI and the Department of Justice. These agencies sought to uncover the truth behind the events leading up to his demise and determine whether any foul play was involved. The focus of the investigations was not only on the guards who were on duty, but also on the broader system that allowed such lapses in security and accountability. The FBI and the Department of Justice conducted interviews, reviewed surveillance footage, and analyzed the evidence meticulously. They sought to establish a clear timeline of events and determine whether there were any individuals who may have had a motive to silence Epstein permanently. The night of Epstein's death remains shrouded in mystery, with more questions than answers. The official narrative has failed to satisfy the public's thirst for the truth, leaving room for speculation and skepticism to flourish. Epstein's mysterious life.
That Jeffrey Epstein was a part of our intelligence agencies, right? That he was actually operating a blackmail ring. And this is the reason why nobody would prosecute him, because he was a protected CIA asset.
Epstein's death was not the only mysterious thing about him. His life was also shrouded in mystery. There were many theories trying to figure out who exactly he was and why he had evaded justice for so long. From being a CIA asset to working for Israeli intelligence, here is a rundown of his life and his connections to intelligence agencies. In the 1950s, a young Jeffrey Epstein was born into a middle-class family in Brooklyn, New York. Little did anyone know that this seemingly ordinary boy would grow up to become one of the most notorious figures in modern history. Epstein's journey from humble beginnings to the pinnacle of wealth and power is a twisted tale that begins with his early days as a successful businessman. As a young man, Epstein showed signs of exceptional intelligence and ambition. After dropping out of college in the 1970s, he embarked on a career as a math teacher at the prestigious Dalton School in Manhattan. In the 1980s, Epstein's path would intersect with that of a wealthy businessman named Stephen Hoffenberg. Hoffenberg, impressed by Epstein's intellect and potential, hired him as a consultant for Tower Financial Corporation. This marked the beginning of Epstein's ascent into the world of high finance and the start of a partnership that would shape his future. With his keen financial acumen, Epstein quickly rose through the ranks at Tower Financial, establishing himself as a rising star in the industry. His connections and ability to navigate the complex world of finance soon caught the attention of powerful individuals who saw in him a valuable asset. Epstein's rise to prominence was not without controversy. In the 1990s, Tower Financial came under scrutiny for engaging in a massive Ponzi scheme orchestrated by Hoffenberg. While Epstein himself was not directly implicated in the scheme, his association with Hoffenberg raised eyebrows and cast a shadow over his reputation. Despite the scandal, Epstein managed to distance himself from the fallout and continued to build his own empire. He founded his own financial management firm, J. Epstein & Company, which catered exclusively to a select group